So today we're looking at problems that involve measurement conversions. We're going to look at both the customary system and the metric system. And this first problem is talking about miles and yards. It says the length of a marathon race is 26 miles, 385 yards. What's the total length of the marathon race in yards? Hey, this isn't that different than what y'all did in fifth grade. It's almost the same. In fact, we've got our formula chart down here. Let's take a look at that. It tells us how many yards are in a mile. And here's the measurements we were given. We're starting with 26 miles and 385 yards, and we want our answer to be in yards. So let's think about the steps. I think the first step that I want to do is find out how many yards are in 26 miles. So that's step one. Then the next step, I need to add my extra yards to that. I need to add my 385 yards to that. So add 385 yards to that result. So those are my two steps. All right, let's do the math. I'm going to write down the information I have here. Miles, yards. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. I need to know how many yards are in 26 miles. The 26 is going to go on top because that's where my mile label is. Great. Okay, so now I just need to solve this proportion. I know 1 times 26 is 26. So to get my denominator, I need to multiply 1,760 by 26. So let's do that. Okay, so that comes out to 45,760 yards. Let me write that down. Now I don't want to forget my next step. I need to add that to 385. All right, so we've added our 385 yards, and that means that 26 miles, 385 yards is the same as 46,145 yards. So those are two different ways of representing the same distance. And that's how long a marathon is in yards. So we didn't have to memorize anything. We didn't have to do any tricks. We just used a little bit of proportional reasoning and our formula chart. Let's take another look at a different problem. So this one's talking about milliliters and liters. Now we're in the metric system. And I am going to want my formula chart again. There it is. So we're told that a scientist used 786 milliliters of liquid for an experiment. We want to know how many liters that is. So let's take a look and see what information we have about milliliters and liters here. We know that 1 liter is the same as 1,000 milliliters. So here's liter, here's milliliters. I'll abbreviate. 1 liter is the same as 1,000 milliliters. We have 786 milliliters. So since I have milliliters in my denominator, 786 goes in my denominator. Now I need to solve this proportion to find the numerator. This time I'm going to look at relationships within my ratios. So in other words, how do I get from my numerator to my denominator? Well, I know that 1 times 1,000 is 1,000, or 1,000 divided by 1,000 is 1, right? Therefore, x times 1,000 must equal 786. Another way to say that would be 786 divided by 1,000 is x. So let's do that. Let's find x by doing 786 divided by 1,000. Okay, so we did our division and we found out that x is going to be the same as 786 thousandths of a liter, 0.786 liters. Once again, just a proportion and the formula chart. Let's take a look at another example down here. Once again, we're headed back to the customary system. This time we have 24 fluid ounces of fruit juice, and we want to know how many pints would that be. And this one is a two-stepper. So this is where this scale becomes a little bit more complex in 6th grade than it was in 5th grade. Let me show you what I mean. We want to go from ounces to pints, but we can't go directly from ounces to pints. We can go from ounces to cups, and that's one step. Let's go ahead and do that first step. Just go from ounces to cups. So I have my cup. 1 cup is the same as 8 ounces. There we go. And I have 24 fluid ounces. So I'm solving for my numerator this time. I think I'm going to look at at relationships between these ratios, because I know 8 times 3 is 24 and 1 times 3 is 3. So that means that 24 ounces is the same as 3 cups. But remember, I don't want cups. Cups is not my final answer. So we need another step, and we need another bit of information from our formula chart. We need to know how many cups are in a pint. Well, we have that information. We know there's 2 cups in a pint. So let's write down cups and pints this time. Pints and cups. There's 2 cups in 1 pint. I have 3 cups. And I want to know how many pints would that be? All right, well, we're just solving a proportion. I'm going to look at relationships within my ratios. I think I'm going to use 1 times 2 is 2. So x times 2 is 3. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 divided by 2 is x. Let's give it a shot. 3 divided by 2. And I can actually leave that just right there. I have 1 and a half if I read my mixed number there. That's my result. So there are, what I've got here is 1.5 pints of fruit juice. So that's an example of a problem that takes 2 steps. It's the same process. I just had to do 2 conversions to arrive at my final answer. And I've got one more example for us to look at. This time we have a robot. His height is 1 meter and 20 centimeters. We want to know how tall is that in millimeters. All right. Well, I'm going from meters and centimeters to millimeters. Right now, neither of those are written in millimeters. I'm going to use this formula that I've highlighted first and turn all of my meters into, I'm going to turn my entire expression, 1 meter, 20 centimeters, into centimeters, just centimeters. So that means I'm going to use that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. All right, so meters and centimeters. 1 is equal to 100. I have, well, actually, I guess I have 1 meter, don't I? I don't need to write a proportion for this. But I know 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So let me just rewrite this. Instead of writing 1 meter up here, I'm going to write 100 centimeters. That's actually pretty easy, isn't it? So adding those together, I get 120 centimeters. Good deal. So now I've used that bit of information from my formula chart. Didn't really even have to solve a proportion. The next piece of information I need will take me from centimeters to millimeters. And here's that. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. So now centimeters to millimeters. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. Ooh, hang on, let me rewrite that. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. Now remember, I have 120 centimeters. We just found that out. I want to know how many millimeters that would be equal to. There's a couple of ways to solve this proportion. If we wanted to, we could look between the ratios. Remember, we're solving for our denominator down here. We could look between them, or we could look within them. I think I'm going to go between this time. So if I multiply 1 by 120, I get 120. If I multiply 10 by 120, I'll get x. So let's try that. 120 times 10. And I got 1,200 millimeters. And that's it. That's all the examples that we're looking at together today. Next, there'll be a few problems for you to practice solving on your own. And remember, all you need is your reference materials and some proportions.